AC Manager. Here is my appointment letter that will serve as a proof that I'm the assigned assessor for this assessment. So, AC Manager, I would like to check the completeness of tools and equipments and if the assessment room is ventilated, illuminated, and safe. So, AC Manager, I have checked that the tools and equipments are complete and the assessment room is well ventilated, illuminated, and safe. So we can now start our assessment. So, good morning, candidates.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Carlo Orbeta, your competency accredited assessor for Organic Agriculture Production NCII. This is my ID with the number of 0919 for your proof of evidence. Okay? So, but before anything else, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our test representative. Sir, good morning. And our AC Manager, Ma'am, good morning. Now, you do not have to worry about their presence. They are here to oversee the conduct of assessment, to check if the assessment or to check if the conduct is in accordance within the prescribed competency assessment methodologies and procedures. So, they will not assess you. Now, before anything else, I would like to check first your attendance. So as I call your name, please come forward and please present to me your admission slip. Okay? Where is Mr. Marbella? Sir, please sign here. Then where is Mr. Orbeta? Sir, okay naman po. Okay? Now I have here accomplished application form and self-assessment guide. This is an indication that you know and can perform all the competencies enumerated for Organic Agriculture Production NCII. Now before we start, let us have first a brief orientation. So what is assessment? When we say the word assessment, it means that it is the process of collection of evidence and making judgment on whether the competency has been achieved. No? Now, what is the purpose of assessment? The purpose of assessment is for qualification, recruitment, and educational purposes. Okay? Now, in OAP and C2, in OAP and C2, there are 4 clusters of competencies, which is basic, common, core, and elective competencies. Now, in OAP and C2, it has 4 competencies, namely, raise organic chicken, produce organic vegetables, produce organic fertilizers, and produce organic concoctions and extracts. Now, in OAP and C2, there are 2 elective competencies. No? So, when we say elective competencies, you can pass one competency and the other is not. You still will be considered competent. You will still be considered competent. No? Now, OAP and C2 is now OAP and C2 has 2 types of assessment, which is the demonstration and interview. OAP and C2 is also a COC type of assessment. When we say COC type of assessment, it means that for every COC, you have to perform every task within time allotment. So for COC1, which is raise organic chicken, you have to select healthy stocks, you have to feed the chicken, and you have to install housing equipments for 1.5 hours. Now for COC2, you have to prepare the potting mix and seed bed, and you have to sow the seedlings for 1 hour. Now for COC3, which is produce organic fertilizer, you have to select, prepare, and compost raw materials, and you have to produce bokashi for 1.5 hours. Now for COC4, which is produce organic concoctions and extracts, you have to produce either FPJ, FFJ, IMO, FFA, labs, and Calpos for 1 hour. Now for COC5 and COC5 and COC6 are the elective competencies. So in COC5, which is raise organic hogs, you have to select healthy breeders, you have to feed the hogs, and you have to manage the breeding of the hogs for 1 hour. Now for last COC6, you have in COC6, which is raise organic small ruminants, you have to select healthy breeders, you have to feed the small ruminants, and you have to manage the breeding process of small ruminants. So a total of 7 hours for your demonstration, and an additional of 1 hour for your oral interview. A total of 8 hours of assessment. Now, for your oral interview, you have to answer at least 8 correct answers out of 10 questions in order to be considered satisfactory. Now, for your assessment procedures, candidates number 1 to 10 should perform COC 1, followed by COC 2, COC 3, COC 4, COC 5, and then COC 6. Now, if you're competent, you will be given a national certificate which has a validity of 5 years. So, upon receiving your CARS, which will be given to you by your assessment center manager, after 3 working days, you may apply for the issuance of your national certificate at PESDA Provincial Office. Just bring with you the following requirements. So, your CARS, passport size picture with white background, and 50 pesos for processing fee. Now, if you are not competent, you have 2 options. Option number 1, you may apply for the assessment of your COC at any accredited assessment center at your own convenient time. And option number 2, you may apply for the issuance of your COC at PESDA Provincial Office. Now, as an assessor, I have the right to stop the assessment process if I observe that there is an imminent danger that is about to happen that may cause any harm to any individuals inside the assessment center. Now, you, as a candidate, if you are not satisfied with the result of your assessment, you may appeal by writing address to your AC manager right after the assessment. Now, we also have the do's and don'ts during the assessment. The do is always follow the OHS procedures when conducting your demonstration. And the don'ts are, of course, the use of your cellular phones are strictly prohibited during the assessment. And leaving the assessment center premises without informing your assessment center manager is prohibited. And loitering inside ACE premises is also not allowed. Now, we also consider allowable adjustments. So, is there anyone here that has religious practices that needs to be addressed during the assessment? Or taking any medications to be considered? So, is there anyone here that has difficulty in understanding English language? So, just let me know, okay? So, the result of the assessment is strictly confidential. Now I will assign to you your candidate's number based on the attendance sheet. So candidate number 1, this is for you, and candidate number 2, this is for you. Now, if you do not have any questions or clarifications, I will assign to you now your copy of specific instructions. So, just read them carefully for 10 minutes, okay? So, okay. Okay, time's up. So, let me introduce to you the different tools and equipments that you will use during the assessment. So, those are the tools and equipments that you will use, okay? So, let's proceed. All candidates, please proceed to practical work area for your demonstration. Okay, let's proceed outside. Come. Okay, so, come on, okay, so, for COC1, you need to select healthy breeders, you need to feed the chickens, and you need to install housing equipment. So, your time starts now. Okay, time's up. Let's proceed to COC2. In COC2, you have to prepare potting mix, you have to prepare the seed bed, and you have to sow the seedlings. So your time starts now. Then, stop. Let's proceed now to COC number 3. So, in COC number 3, you have to select, prepare, and compost raw materials, and you have to produce bokashi. So, your time starts now. And then stop. So, let's proceed to COC number 4. In COC number 4, candidate number 1, you have to prepare FFJ, and candidate number 2, you have to prepare FPJ. So, your time starts now. And then stop. Let's proceed now to COC number 5. Highlight nga dito. Okay. In COC number 5, you have to select and feed and manage the breeding process of the hogs. So your time starts now. Then time stops. For the last COC, you have to select, feed, and manage the breeding process of small ruminants. So your time starts now. Then stop. So your demonstration is done. All candidates, please proceed to waiting area for your oral interview. Okay? Okay, COC number 1, please proceed forward. Okay, so candidate number 1, please proceed forward for your oral interview. Okay, candidate number 1, are you ready for your oral interview? Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so I have here 10 questions for you to answer. So question number 1. What are the indicators of healthy stocks? Okay, so last question, question number 10. What will you do if your hog is having difficulty in giving birth? Okay, so your assessment is done. How did you feel about the assessment? How was the assessment? On a scale 1 to 10, 10 is the highest and 1 is the lowest. How are you going to rate yourself? Okay. So, in your demonstration, you were able, in COC number 1, you were able to select, fed, and install housing equipments. So, you got satisfactory rate for COC number 1. Now, for COC number 2, you have successfully prepared the potting mix, you have prepared the seed bed, and you have sown the seedlings. So, you also got satisfactory result for COC number 2. Now, in COC number 3, you were able to select, prepare, and compost raw materials and produce bokashi. So, you also got satisfactory result for COC number 3. Now, in COC number 4, you were successful in producing FFJ. So, you also got satisfactory result. Now, in COC number 4 and in COC number 5 and COC number 6, you were able to select, fed, and manage the breeding process of hogs and small ruminants. So, you also got satisfactory rate for COC number 5 and COC number 6. So, your overall result on your demonstration is satisfactory. So, I will sign here. And please sign here. Please sign here, sir. Yes. Sige na. Okay. Now, for your oral interview, out of 10 questions, you were able to answer 9 correct answers. So, you got satisfactory result for for oral interview. So, I'll sign here, and please sign here. Okay. Now, for the summary on your assessment, in COC number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you were able to receive, or you got satisfactory result both on demonstration and oral interview. So, my recommendation is for the issuance of national certificate, My recommendation is for the issuance of national certificate for organic agriculture production NC2. And you are competent. So I'll sign here. And please sign here. Okay, so your cars will be released by your assessment center manager. After 3 working days, you may apply for the issuance of your national certificate at TESDA provincial office. Just bring with you your cars, passport size picture with white background, and 50 pesos for processing fee. So congratulations, sir. You are competent. Please call candidate number 2 for his oral interview. Okay, candidate number 2, are you ready for your oral interview?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I have here 10 questions for you to answer. So, question number 1, what are the indicators of healthy stocks? Last question, question number 10, what will you do if your hog is having difficulty in giving birth? Okay. Now, your assessment is done. Before I give you the result or your feedback on your assessment, how was the assessment? How did you feel about the assessment? On a scale 1 to 10, 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. Or how are you going to rate yourself? Okay. Now, in your demonstration in COC number 1, you were able to select healthy stocks, feed the chicken, and install housing equipment. So you got satisfactory result for COC 1. In COC number 2, you have successfully prepared the potting mix. You have prepared the seedbed and sown the seedling. So you also got satisfactory result. Now in COC 3, In COC 3, you have successfully selected, prepared, and composted raw materials. And the bokashi, all the required ingredients are present in your bokashi. However, the bokashi that you made did not attain 30 to 40% moisture content, which is very critical on the assessment. So, you got not satisfactory result for COC number 3. So, my advice to you is to practice making bokashi, okay? Now, in COC number 4, you have successfully produced FPJ. So, you got satisfactory result for COC 4. In COC 5 and COC 6, you were able to select, fed, and manage the breeding process of hogs and small ruminants. So, you got satisfactory rate for COC 5 and COC 6. So, your overall result in your demonstration is not satisfactory. So, I will sign here, and please sign here. Now, for your oral interview, you were able to answer 8 correct answers out of 10 questions. So, you got satisfactory result for your oral interview. So, I will sign here and please sign here. Okay. Now, for the summary of your assessment, in COC 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, you got satisfactory result both on demonstration and in oral interview. Now, in COC number 3, you got satisfactory rate in your oral interview. However, you got not satisfactory rate in your demonstration. So, my recommendation is for the issuance of COC 1, COC 2, COC 4, COC 5, and COC 6. And for the reassessment of your COC 3. And your overall result is not yet competent. Now, your cars will be released by your assessment center manager. And you have 2 options. Option number 1, you may apply for reassessment of your COC number 3 at any accredited assessment center. And then option number 2, you may apply for the issuance of your COC at the provincial office. Just bring with you your cars, passport size picture with white background, and 50 pesos for processing fee. Now, I will sign here, and please sign here. Okay. So, your overall result for your assessment is not yet competent. Nevertheless, congratulations. Just follow my advice to you and my recommendations. For surely, you will pass your next assessment, okay? So, your assessment is done. Thank you, candidates. Now, that's it. Okay. Okay, candidates, please sign this evaluation sheet for our assessor. Okay, please sign. Please sign. Okay. Okay, so here is your cards. Thank you and congratulations.